Hello guys, it's Mary Dwyn, therapist and coach again here, and in this episode and some more we are going to talk about stress, how to manage stress, cope with stress, what type of stresses we have, and I'm going to try to give you some mental, physical, behavioral tools, also spiritual tools and points of view on why stress actually comes or why we perceive it, the way we perceive it, and what to do with that. So how to cope with stress better? So first of all, we need to actually realize we are stressed. I know it may sound funny for some of you, but a lot of people don't even realize, don't even know until it's like really, really high levels of stress and their body's collapsing already and they are burned out or something worse is happening, depression or physical collapse. So the first key is actually something we call mindfulness. It's somehow the observation or being aware of, not like this hypochondriacal observation or let me just focus on myself all the time and check what is wrong with me. No, but this is something like let's be aware of a present. So first thing is to train your mind not to focus so much on past and so much on future, although these things are also important, but to be able to perceive yourself in the present and to be able to be in touch with your emotions and with your body. So in order to be aware of what's happening in you, even in your emotions, your mind, your stress, first thing you can do is to observe your body. Why? Well, the body is kind of like an interface between the outside world, this 3D, 4D world around us, and our soul and even spirit and all that's happening inside. And even though for a lot of people, body is like, okay, I live in my ideas, body is just a burden, or for spiritual people, for Christians, a lot of times the body has a negative connotation, obviously, because the body is weak, the body has temptations, and so on. But the body is also a gift. Also, Bible says that the body is a temple of spirit and the temple of Holy Spirit, and also a kind of a thing that holds or conveys the spirit into the physical world. So this is a very important thing, to actually love your body as well, not to say to love all the weaknesses and temptations and be dragged by your body, but to love your body and to accept it and understand that your body is also speaking to you, and not to shut down what it is speaking. So for instance, your body physically, when you experience stress, it has certain reactions. There is a stress reaction, which is a response to a threat or to a perceived threat. This is a very key word, perceived threat, because a lot of times we have stress from things that are not actually out there objectively or not really in such a level or intensity, but because of some patterns of our thinking, because our past experiences, how we learned, we can perceive these situations as extremely threatening, and therefore we feel stress. So what happens in the body is that when you have stressor, let's say some physical stressor, imagine that you lived in a woods, and then there is like a bear or a tiger or some animal starting to chase you, or you just hear the sound of something chasing you, right? Your body needs to prepare very quickly for either attack or flight. For both of these things, you need extreme physical activity. You need muscle to be alert for either fighting or running. So your heart starts to beat fast, or your blood is going to your muscles. It leaves kind of like your brain in a way. It leaves your stomach. You cannot digest. Your breathing starts to be fast because you need more oxygen for physical activity. So these are all the typical symptoms. And of course, hormones are triggering this adrenaline and all that. So this is something that is here to protect you from threatening situation, yeah, at least in this basic physical level. And then when you do either run or you fight, then you release this energy that is stored in your body, and you hopefully save yourself, and then the thing is flooded out of your body and you are back in the equilibrium. So in the physical situation of threat, this serves you well, this kind of response. But the thing is that our bodies have the same response even with psychological or emotional threats. The neuroscience research found out that the same centers of pain are lit when you experience, for instance, social rejection, isolation, lack of freedom, autonomy, or decreasing your status socially or your perceived status, your confidence, and many more. So the problem is that in this stressing situation, imagine like you are, for instance, in the work and you perceive boss as kind of the tiger, or getting out and talking to people is such a threat as if there was this bear behind you that is gonna take your life, and your body reacts the same way, and you have this anxiety, you have this heartbeat, and maybe muscle tension, and breath is starting to be faster, and everything in you wants to kind of like shut down or escape or fight or maybe even freeze. These are the first signs. You need to recognize them when they are even subtle, not when your body is completely shutting down. So I perceive these signs and start to ask my own heart, myself, okay, what is happening? What are you feeling? It seems like you're stressed. It seems like you're afraid of something. Yeah, okay. If it kind of feels right, yeah, probably I am. So what is it? What are you afraid of? And I start to have a dialogue with my own heart to understand what is the perceived threat. It may come simply, but it may be also a bit like hide and seek, that your emotions are playing hide and seek with you if you are not used to talk to them, if you actually used to shame yourself for feeling things, or in a childhood you were shamed for certain negative emotions. You may have learned these locking them out or dissociating, separating from them, rejecting them immediately as they come and suppressing them away like, okay, no, nothing is happening, I'm fine, until your body cannot take it anymore. But this can be a problem, and you need to learn how to accept yourself back. Like, first of all, deal with that shame, that there is nothing shameful about feeling things. There is nothing shameful about feeling irrational things our emotions are a lot of time irrational in sense that maybe from present point of view, it doesn't seem to be such a threat, but we do perceive it as such. And so if we want to deal with it and see how things truly are, first we need to accept how we feel them without any shame, without any judgment, just feel it, then try to understand why I feel that way, and then try to bring a different point of view into my situation or some calming effect into my situation. How can I know what is the threat? Well, there are basically 5 big domains of something that neuroscience calls domains of either something that is threatening us or that we try to avoid if it is we perceive that these things are endangered, or also things that motivates us on the other hand when we try to work towards fulfilling them. This model is called SCARF. S stands for status or perceived status, something like my own understanding of my confidence, of my status in society, how meaningful I am, how I'm growing. It can be connected to growing in abilities, on skills, in financial status, relational status, anything that has to do with how I feel and see myself compared to others, but as well compared to myself, compared to my past self, how I see my own value per se. The second domain is called certainty. C stands for certainty, and this means that we kind of crave this stability and certainty. Of course, we also need some uncertainty, and depends on your personality if you are more into flexibility and adventure and kind of a moment of surprise, or if you are into really a lot of like stability and routine and program. But nonetheless, both of the types need some kind of certainty in life, maybe just the different levels. Certainty about our relationships, certainty about some hope for future, certainty about our basic needs met, and so on. Certainty about how things are going to develop if things are looking like crazy. For instance, in this corona situation, one of the very big threats for people and stress levels was uncertainty. Is it going to close? Is it going to open? Am I going to have a job? Am I not going to? Are going to children go to school, or are they not going to? Or am I going to have enough money? Am I not? Like, there were loads of uncertainty, and it was changing on a daily basis almost. Depends on which government you have in your countries, but in my country it was like crazy. Every couple of days it was like shifting, and people had really such higher levels of uncertainty. So this creates a loads of stress. Another one is autonomy. Autonomy has to do with the freedom of your own choice. Basically, if you look at slavery, for instance, that's the highest or one of the highest levels of lacking or losing autonomy. But autonomy is also something you can feel, for instance, if you're micromanaged companies, you feel like you're losing autonomy because you cannot even do a little thing without somebody breathing on your neck and checking you, which creates the feeling you are not trusted. It creates the feeling you're not an adult, you have no freedom, you cannot move. It is a feeling of constraint. And again, we differ in the need of autonomy, how big freedom and therefore also responsibility with it we are able to carry and we want to carry. Some people are fine with others making more decision and they just have a certain place of autonomy. Some people need more, but all of us need some kind of feeling that we are our own people. We make our own decisions. We have our own preferences. So whenever something comes and takes control of us, we feel threatened. Our autonomy is threatened. And again, during this pandemic, autonomy was squeezed a lot by all of the restrictions, and it created a lot of stress in lots of people. R stands for relatedness. This is the need of every human being to relate to others, to belong, to be part of a group, be part of a family, be part of a community, be part of a church, be part of a country, part of a culture, part of a subgroup. Anyways, it means to be connected, to be looked at as one of us, not the other, and have acceptance and love and connection and all that positive, harmonious thing. And whether you like lots of people or like small number of people, whether you're introvert, extrovert, whatever, you need relatedness. Every human being needs this kind of feeling of belonging. Again, what happened during this pandemic was, lots of the people lost connections, relationships. They were isolated. They didn't feel like they belong anymore anywhere. Nobody cares. This is a huge threat towards this need to relate. And also it happens on a daily basis. It can be triggered by things like somebody doesn't invite you for lunch in your work, or your friends stop calling you, or people just simply omit you in conversation. It can be very subtle, and your brain can already feel like alert, you do not belong, you're being ostracized, and it is a huge pain for mentally, also physically for yourself. And so it can be a huge stressor, and also reason for loads of people social anxiety, because they anticipate not relating, and so they are already afraid of not being able to relate. So this is something that needs to be worked on. And the last one is fairness. It's something that how people feel what is fair or not fair. It doesn't have to be always objective fairness, but somehow what I perceive as being fair in relation to other people around me, in relation to the system where I am. And if I feel that I'm being unjustly accused or unjustly given something or not given something that others are, or so on, I don't have enough opportunities, or I'm being denied some rights and stuff like that, it can trigger this threat of losing the fairness, or sort of, we could say, justice, okay? And so this model can help you identify some of your stressors, and of course there are loads of them, and they usually fall into some of these categories like small branches, and we will talk about them later. But once you realize what you are stressed by, what's the threat, you can start doing something to calm it down. We are going to, of course, talk about some general techniques of coping with stress and balanced life, even if you don't know where the stress is coming from. But once you know what the threat is, you can use specific tools, specific things, either to influence the environment around you to some degree, but also to reframe the point of view, or to substitute something that you need and that you're lacking, or using something like mind hacks to actually help your mind not to perceive these things as so stressful, and give yourself ability to actually change this survival cycle where you want to avoid a threat, into the motivation cycle. You want to switch into the reward cycle, which means being motivated and doing things with a hope of gaining some of those positive and good things in your life. And so this first part was mostly informational about how the stress works in general, what is the cycle of avoiding threat and the cycle of motivation, and what are the main domains of the stress. But I want to leave you with one first small tip and advice for today. And the tip is thankfulness, because thankfulness has a lot to do with dealing with stress. Thankfulness and also research, positive psychology research, realized that if you are thankful for things, it means you are starting to be more aware of everything you've already got, and therefore you are more hopeful. Your mind starts to be more open and hopeful to see what you can have, to see all the opportunities. It starts to be more creative, more open to building up networks, to see the opportunities, to actually taking advantage of all the positive things that already are around you, which you don't see when your mind is blocked and complaining and grumpy. That's what you don't see. So thankfulness opens you up, and therefore it creates this momentum of more and more and more good things coming to you, or you being able to grasp them and to actually sow them in your life and to harvest them. And it's a principle also spiritually, which Bible says that give your thanks every day, every time, in every problem. Give your thanks to God, and then bring your petitions to Him. Bring your problems and throw your problems on Him in trust that He's going to help you. But always first comes with thankfulness for whatever already is, for even you breathing this air, and even you having some food right now, or maybe having that one person you can call to, or whatever there is, the opportunity you're still alive. Just be thankful and come into that, again, mindfulness of I am here and this is who I am. I'm thankful for who I am. I'm thankful for what I have. I'm thankful for all that is around me, that is good around me. And focus yourself there. And that is already starting to influence your mind to think differently and to bring a change in your life, and to decrease the stress and increase the hope and increase the capacity to create better things for yourself and in the life of those around you. And see you in my next videos, where we talk about these particular problems, stressors, and also solutions and tips and tricks how to overcome them. And if you like the video, subscribe to my channel, share it to your friends, share it everywhere you know that it can help, and like, comment, tell me what you want to hear about more, or how these things are helping you. See you next time.